Okay, and today we're gonna check some listening. All right, so we're gonna do some listening skills today. All right, cool. So let's get started. Okay, I have a presentation to share with you as always. All right, cool. So yeah, so today we're gonna have our virtual class IELTS listening. All right, cool. So let's go. Yeah, so how's it going to work? If you've seen the virtual class before, you know exactly how it's going to work, but I'm just going to remind you. All right, cool. So there will be a presentation. Okay, so we're going to have a presentation and you can participate anytime via the chat. Okay, so you can see to the side. If you have any problems, just let me know. Okay, so can you all listen? Hello? Can you all hear me well? Can you just please say a yes or say a hello, hey, hi. Okay, yeah. So hello, hi. Yeah, so there's some people here already. Okay, and yeah, so you can participate via the chat. Okay, so you will write a question there if you have any. Okay, and I'll probably get to that when you write it, but sometimes I miss some of the questions and I'll get back to all of them at the end if I miss any. All right, cool. So the presentation can participate via the chat and you can ask questions anytime. Okay, I might get to them at the end of this lesson, but if I can, I'll get to them in the middle too. All right, so just before we start, okay, I'd like to tell you who am I? Actually tell you who I am. So I am Fabi, okay, from Fabi English. And I've been teaching the IELTS exam for, let's say, 7 years now, okay? I've taught at different countries, okay? But most of my experience has been here in Australia. So I'm based in Brisbane, okay? And I have worked for some English schools here and also universities here in Brisbane, okay? And I've taught general English, TOEIC, Cambridge, anything you can imagine, okay? But my focus has always been IELTS, especially because with the IELTS exam, I feel that I can help people not only learn English, but I can help them with their dreams and their goals here in this country of Australia. All right, cool. I help people go to university here and I help people get their PRs. I help people get scholarships. Okay, I get people, I help people also to become professionals here in this country. All right, so that's why I think the IELTS is so cool, because you're not just helping people with English or with an exam, you're helping them with their dreams too. All right, and I think that's pretty cool. That's why I like the IELTS so much. I know some people hate it, but I like it. All right, cool. So just before we start, I'd just like to do a short recap, okay, concerning the virtual classes, okay? So I've been delivering these virtual classes for over a year now, okay, but more consistently in the past few months, okay? So I don't know if you checked my channel on YouTube, but over there I have recently, okay, the most recent ones, have 3 virtual classes, okay? So the first virtual class we had was talking about the writing steps, okay? So in this virtual class, I tell you what steps you have to follow so you can get a good score on the IELTS exam, okay? And then the other one was reading and vocabulary. And a lot of people focus on the writing so much, but some people have been forgetting to focus on the reading, okay? And I have been finding that lots of people have been having problems with the reading. That's why I had a full virtual class just devoted to the reading part of the IELTS exam, but not just reading and vocabulary together. Okay, and also just recently we had the speaking part too, and this one was quite popular. Yeah, how do I know it was popular? Because it has lots of views on YouTube. Yeah, because I don't know, some people, they really struggle with part 2, and that's why I devoted a whole virtual class for speaking part 2. And if you have questions about speaking part 2, head to my YouTube channel, so Fabi English on YouTube, and you will be able to watch the full lesson. And I got really good feedback and people who were struggling with part 2, now they are better. Okay, but yeah, if you need anything else, just let me know. But these 3, I think they are worth watching, and they're not very long. They're about half an hour, a bit more, a bit less. Yeah, but that's the average time. Okay, so if you have 20 minutes to spare, go for it. Okay, so yeah, so let's get started. Okay, cool. So oh yeah, and they're all on YouTube. All right, cool. So IELTS listening. All right, yeah. So a lot of people say that they think this is the easiest part of the exam. Okay. Maybe it is, just because I feel that with the listening you can improve quite quickly. Okay. And I'll tell you a little bit why actually I decided to do this specific this specific virtual class today about listening. And what I'm going to tell you today is actually quite special. Okay, so as you probably already know, I help a lot of students with the IELTS exam. And at the moment, I've been helping a lot of private students, so people who contact me and they need help with the IELTS. Okay, and just recently, I helped a student, and she didn't have much time, and most of you don't have that much time, right? And she didn't have much time, and we had 3 classes only. Yeah, which is not very usual. Okay, I like to spend some time with people, but if you don't have time, then you have to cram a few classes in 1 or 2 weeks, right? So she had only 3 classes with me, and with her listening, the first listening test she did, she got a 5. Okay, and then she was really worried because she needed a 6, right? And then she was really worried, and then we did 1 lesson, okay, in listening. Actually, we did 2 lessons, parts 1 and 2 for listening, and parts 3 and 4 for listening. Okay, and then she said, oh my God, I've been studying so much, but you gave me some tips that no one had told me before. I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. And then she was a bit more confident, and she was actually confident she was gonna get her 6. But then she did the test last week, and she got a 7 in listening. She couldn't believe it. She was like, oh my God, I did so well. And I was like, yay, how did you do that? Because I was surprised, because in the practices, so she did the very, very first one was pretty bad. And then she did maybe 1 or 2, and she got a 6, 6.5, but not a 7. But on the day of the test, she got a 7. And then I asked her, I said, okay, so we had like 2 lessons on listening. So tell me, what did I say to you that you think was the most helpful thing? All right. And then she told me, well, I think the most helpful thing was the when you told me about how to prepare to listen, what to do with those 30 seconds before I start listening. And I said, oh, interesting. Okay. And I did have a lot of people saying that they don't know what to do when the guy says, oh, now look at questions 1 to 10, and they don't know what to do. Okay. And I'll tell you what to do today. Okay. So yeah, so the most important thing is that, so she told me what helped her the most. Okay, and then I thought it was nice to share with you today. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so when it comes to the listening, right, there are 4 parts for the listening test. Okay, so part 1, it's something that is the easiest part, okay, mostly because it's an everyday conversation. So I don't know if you noticed, but most part 1s are a telephone conversation, and then maybe a person calling a company to ask for information, or someone calling maybe a bus company to get information on tickets, or maybe someone calling an airline, things like that. So it tends to be quite simple, and it's an everyday conversation. All right. When it comes to part 2 is slightly more difficult than part 1. Okay. And in part 2, it will be one person talking. Okay. But still, but it's not a very complicated topic. So it's probably one person giving information about something. All right, but it's one person talking. Okay, and then part 3, that's when it gets to get a bit tricky. Okay, because in part 3, the topic is academic. Okay, and in part 3, it will be usually, let's say, a student calling a university to get information about a course, or a teacher talking to a student, okay, or students talking about a project that they have to do. And pay attention, because in part 3, you can have up to 3 people speaking. Okay, so you could have a teacher giving feedback to 2 students. Okay, so you have that too. And so just be careful. But they usually, when there are 3 people, they usually have maybe a teacher and 2 students talking, and the students tend to be male and female. So I think it's easier to get the voice, because they will have questions. What did Mary say? And Mary is the female. And what did John say? And John is the male. So you have questions like that. So it's nice that they have male and female, and then they have the teacher, of course, right? Okay, cool. And part 4, my favorite personally. I really like part 4. I think part 4 is really cool. And but part 4 is the lecture. So it will be a person talking for a while. Okay, and this topic is an academic topic. So you have to imagine you are inside a classroom at a university. Okay, so inside a university classroom, and you're listening to a teacher talking about one specific topic. So that's part 4. Okay, and part 4 tends to be harder because it's one person talking. So some people get lost and they can't quite follow. And also another reason that people struggle with part 4 is because there is no pause in the middle. So with parts 1, 2, and 3, there's that pause in the middle. So basically, let's say in part 1, you answer questions 1 through 5, and then you are given more time to check questions 6 to 10. You don't have that in part 4. Right? So there is no pause in them. They do give you longer. Okay, so you have more time to look at the questions, but unfortunately, there is no pause. Okay, so just some information here about listening. Okay, just before we start. Okay, so let's get going. Let's get there. All right. So some issues with listening. Okay, so most people that I help, these are their complaints when it comes to listening. Okay, so they usually say, I got confused. So I will ask a student to do a full listening test and then come to me so we can discuss his score, right? And say, oh, I got confused. And there are many reasons why that happens, right? So one of the things is, I got confused, or, oh, I missed number 23. So you're doing it, and then you look at 23, you don't know what 23 is, and you think you heard it, but then you notice they're talking about 24, and then you miss 23, and you go straight to 24. That happens quite often, right? And the other one is, I got lost. That's the most common one. So basically, you're listening and you're waiting for number 1, and then you kind of listen to it, but you're not sure. And then when you notice, they're already talking about 4, but then you're not sure whether it's 4 or not, and then you get confused, okay? So there is one way to solve all of these problems at once, okay? And the way is preparation, okay? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So how can you prepare yourself so you don't get confused, so you don't miss answers, and you don't get lost, okay? So I will help you with that today, okay? Let's get started. Cool. So how to prepare for IELTS listening, okay? So I think that the most important thing to do is to use those 30 seconds you were given before the actual listening starts, okay? So when you're going to do the listening test, you hear something like this. Now you have some time to look at questions 1 through 5, or now you have some time to look at questions 21 to 24, okay? When you listen to that, that's, I think, one of the most important parts of the listening test, okay? Because they are giving you time to look at things so you can prepare yourself. If you don't use that time well, you're not gonna get a good score, okay? So today, I'm gonna tell you what I think you should do with this 30 seconds, okay? And the reason I'm telling you is because it's been helping a lot of people, and just recently helped the girl get a 7 on the listening test. So yeah, so that's why I'm totally sharing this with you guys today. Okay, cool. So let's see. So today, okay, we are going to talk about form completion. So as you know, throughout the listening test, you have different tasks or different questions. Okay, so different things you have to do. And for each question or each task that you have to do, you have to use specific types of strategies. Okay, so today we are going to focus on form completion, and it's a part 1, form completion. We will talk about note completion, which will be a part 2 test, and we will also talk about sentence completion, which will be a part 3 from the IELTS listening test. Okay, so I decided to choose these ones because I feel that most of my students, they struggle with these ones. Okay, so the ones that they actually have to listen to the word and write the word. Okay, most people do well with the multiple choice, they do well with the matching, okay, in which you don't really have to, the maps, they usually do well with maps too. Okay, so these ones in which you have to write the word, that's where people get stuck. And then I listen to that kind of thing, oh, I got lost, oh, I got confused, or oh, I missed that answer. All right, so that's why I chose these ones specifically for us to use today. Okay, cool. And as usual, if you have been watching my virtual classes, I have been getting my materials from the IELTS.org website. Okay, so feel free to head there. It's free, so they have a few samples there. Okay, so I've been using those ones, and especially because you can access them. So you just go to the website. So whatever you see here that I'm using, it's available there for free. So you can just head there and try it yourself. Okay, and today specifically, I do suggest you go there and look at it, because we're not going to do the listening together. Okay, I will help you prepare for it. Okay, and I'll teach you how to do it. And then the best thing for you to do is just, as soon as you finish this lesson, you head to the website and you find these tests, and they have the recording there for you. Okay, so you can actually try your skills and see if it's working. So you can get the test itself, you can get the listening for it, and you can get the answers true. All right, so you can get everything there ready for you. Okay, so yeah, so I suggest you totally do that, but I'll remind you at the end, don't worry. Okay, so let's start. Cool. So first one, form completion. Okay, so this is a part 1. All right, so the part 1 is the easiest part. Okay, definitely this part. People tend to get like everything correct. Okay, but if we make a mistake, it's usually spelling, right? But we can talk about that later. Okay, cool. So form completion. Okay, so let's see what it looks like. Let me just make it a bit bigger. Yeah, cool. That's better. All right. So that's what your test will look like. Okay, so you have part 1. In this case, questions 1 through 8. Okay, so those 30 seconds they give you, you have to look at questions from 1 through 8. Okay, and again, pay attention to that. So write no more than 3 words and or a number for each answer. Okay, please do not forget to have a look at how many questions how many words you need or numbers that you need. Okay, because let's say that you got the answer right, but you think it's 2 words, but then you forget to see it's 1 word only, and then you make a mistake. Okay, so if 1 word is required and you write true, but 1 word is right, your answer is incorrect. All right, so you have to stick to the word limit that they suggest here. All right. So, so that's what you have to do here, and that's where you will find. So if you, when we finish this lesson, if you head to the website IELTS.org, The listening for this one would be listening sample task, form completion, okay, to be used with listening recording 1, okay? So if you want to do this one and you head to the website, there will be listening recording 1. All right, cool. So let's have a look together. All right, so this is the task, right? So we know it's a part 1. We know we have to do from 1 to 8. And we know we need how many words again? No more than 3 words and or 1 number. Cool. So let's have a look. All right. So one thing that I think people take for granted is this. It's the actual title of the task itself, okay? And also the person talking on the listening, he or she will tell you what you'll be listening to. So say, now you listen to a telephone conversation between 2 people and they are talking about blah, blah, blah. That's very important. I think you should listen to that and pay attention because that helps you prepare for the listening test, okay? So Peckham's shipping agency, customer quotation form. So they're talking about shipping and it's a quotation form. So someone asked for a quote on probably shipping from a place to another place, okay? So country of destination, Kenya. So someone is trying to send something to Kenya, okay? So just by thinking a little bit about that, you're already preparing yourself for the listening. And you will see that once you start preparing yourself and thinking about these things, the listening will be much easier. All right, cool. So yeah, so sorry. So what you're gonna do now is actually check what kind of information do you need, right? So you need name, you need an address, you need a postcode. All right, so you start thinking, okay, that's what I need. But then when you think about it, I like to work a lot with predictions, or let's just say guessing, okay? A lot of people say, oh, I have to guess what the answer is. It's impossible. You'll be surprised. It is not impossible. And yes, you can try that. And yes, sometimes you will get the answer right just by guessing, okay? If you prepare yourself, if you get the idea, oh, so this will be a conversation about shipping and someone is trying to send something to Kenya. All right, cool. If you have that information in your head, when you go to the task, it is easy to try and guess what the answer is going to be. But sometimes it is hard. But when it's hard to guess, you should just think about what kind of word do I need then? For example, here in 1, right? 1, it's Jacob something. So what do you need? A last name. All right. So when we think, okay, I need a last name. So what do you think about? You would think about the fact that you need a capital letter. If you don't have a capital letter, your answer is going to be wrong. Okay. And also you probably think, all right, I'm going to listen to a last name. Not sure what the last name is. However, in the IELTS exam, they tend to spell the last name. So if they do spell it, I think that will make your life easier. All right. So they will say the name. Maybe you can write it straight away and then wait to check if they're going to spell it. And if they spell it, you double check. Okay. But again, you think all about this before the listening starts, not during, because during the listening, you have to listen. Okay. So all of these things you do before you start listening. So you're fully prepared. Okay, cool. Then address to be collected from. So number 2, we have a gap, and then we have college, Downlands Road, Bristol. So over there, we have Downlands Road. So that's basically the address. So maybe number 2 could be a name, the name of the college. All right, so just think about it. You're going to need a capital letter again, right? And it's probably the name of the college because then you have the address there, right? So that's probably what you need there. And then 3 is a postcode, okay? So I have been finding that postcodes can be tricky because in some countries, postcodes are just numbers. In other countries, postcodes are numbers and letters, All right, so we have to be extremely careful. For example, I'm here in Australia. The postcode is just numbers. All right, but I know that, for example, in the UK, postcodes are numbers and letters. All right, so let's say, and if you look at it, the town is Bristol, and I assume that Bristol would be in England. So maybe you will need a number and no, not a number, so numbers and letters together. All right, so if you are from a country, or if you used to have postcodes just with numbers, and then you hear letters and numbers, but if you only write the numbers, your answer would be incorrect. Okay, so in this case here, you probably need numbers and letters. So just be very careful with that. Okay, so just pay attention when they say zip code. If you hear letters as part of the postcode, make sure you write them. Okay, because I've seen a lot of people make that mistake in the past. All right, cool. So yeah, and then, so we did the name, the postcode, okay? And then when we had to number 4 and number 5, so we have width and height, okay? So with that one there, what do you think you need? Numbers, okay? And probably you need centimeters, meters, that kind of stuff. So you just have to pay attention to that too. Okay, cool. And then contents, clothes, 6 and 7. So you probably need clothes, maybe books, maybe furniture. All right, so you just start thinking about that. And total estimate value, so number 8 will be numbers again, because it's the price. All right, okay, cool. So yeah, so I do believe that if you look at it, okay, like this, and you prepare yourself like this, you're likely to get everything correct, okay? And again, it took us, what, 5 minutes to kind of look at the test and think about the answers, or guess or predict the answers. On the day of the test, you have around 30 seconds to do that. Okay, so it's not that long. So like doing this together with me, it took us a while, but just bear in mind that on the day of the test, you have to be quick. Okay, so that's why you should be practicing it. So you should try this one, see if it works for you. And if you feel that this strategy really works for you, keep doing that, okay? But try to be quick, just because you have 30 seconds on the day of the test. All right, cool. So let's go to the next one now. So the next one will be note completion, and it's going to be a part 2. So let's have a look at the instructions here. All right, so this is a page 4 of an original listening test. Okay, guys, so yeah. So complete the notes below. So it's a note completion, and with no more than 3 words and or a number for each answer. Okay, so these are the instructions that we have here. Okay, and if you head to the website and you want to do this one, the listening sample task note completion is used with recording 8. Okay, so if you go to the website after we finish this lesson, you can find it on listen recording 8. Okay, so let's have a look together. So here we have to answer from 11 to 16. Okay, so the National Arts Center, so that's the title there. Okay, so usually this will be, it's one person talking, okay, and this person will be talking for a while. Usually there's one person who introduces another person, and then that person talks about the topic. And the topic here is the National Arts Center. So it's a place. All right. So again, when you're doing the test, you have a little bit more information about it. So pay attention to that. All right. So let's get started here. So here we have well known for what? Let's say the National Arts Center is well known for its architecture, or well known for something. All right. So even if you don't know exactly what that something is, just by thinking about it, it will help you get the answer. Trust me, okay? Yeah, keep trying that. So even if you have absolutely no idea, just by thinking about it, you'll get it right, okay? And then the next one, so 12. 12 is right there at the bottom, okay? So complex consists of, so we have a list of things that we can find in the complex. So things such as concert rooms, theaters, cinemas, art galleries, public library, and restaurants. So we can find all of these things there, right? And just a question, do you think that having that list will make it easier or harder to get the answer? Think about it. I think it will make it easier because it's a list. So you need something else on that list. Okay. So you can just think about what do you think you can find in that complex. So maybe cafes, because it didn't say cafes there. Maybe you can find a park. I don't know. All right. So just whatever is not on that list, that's probably your answer. All right, cool. And then the next one. So we have historical background. Okay. Then we have 1940, area destroyed by bombs. 1960s, center was probably something that the center used to be, was a hospital. The center was a family home. The center was what? Okay, so the center was something like maybe a place. All right. And then in blah, 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 open to public. Wait, 14 maybe could be a year. Okay. So yeah, maybe 1940, 1960s, and maybe 1990s. 1920s, no, not 1920s, sorry, 1980s, it was open to the public. All right, so probably need a year there. And then CP15 managed by a person, an institution, so someone who manages the center, and then open blah, blah, blah days per year. So what do you need there? A number, maybe 265 days per year, 200 days a year. All right, so probably need a number there. Cool? Yeah, how you feeling? Good? Yeah, okay. Last one now, let's head to the last one. Cool. So this one is a sentence completion part 3. So part 3, things start to get a bit tricky, right? Because it's a part 3, right? All right, so let's have a look. This one is sentence completion, right? So yeah, so part 3, sentence completion, so 27 to 30. So that's at the end of part 3, okay? And no more than 2 words, okay? And if you want to try this out later, you will find it will be recording for on the IELTS website. Okay, cool. So let's have a look together, right? So here we have write no more than 2 words for each answer. Okay, so in the same way that we looked at the form completion or at the notes completion, we'll look here. Okay, but with this one, it's a sentence, so it can be a little bit different. Okay, so let's have a look. So, but the strategy is very similar. Okay, so studying with the Open University demanded a great deal of something, right? So when you think about it, so studying at the university demanded a great deal of. So when you are studying, it demands a great deal of dedication, let's say, great deal of devotion, great deal of time. So what do you need? Demanded something. Okay, so you just think about it. So even if you think of something that is not the answer, just by thinking about it, just the fact that you're thinking will help you get the answer right. Okay, keep practicing and you get there. Then 28. Studying and working at the same time improve Rachel something skills. Okay, so we have the name Rachel and you have the apostrophe, the possessive. So it's probably a noun, let's say, or something skills. So skills is the noun, right? So yeah, so Rachel's, what kind of skills? Okay, and then 29, it was helpful that the course was structured in what? In what ways are courses structured mostly? Okay, so it was helpful that the course was structured in modules. It was helpful that the course was structured in semesters. Maybe, I don't know, in chapters. Chapters are books, yeah. So just think about that. So how are courses usually structured? My courses are structured in modules. Okay. And yeah, so I don't know. Just think about that. And just again, just by thinking, you don't have to get the answer right, but just by thinking about that, that will help you get the answer. Okay. And the last one, she enjoyed meeting other students at maybe a place. Okay. At the library, no more than 2 words. So you can say at the library. Okay. So you can say the library, at the cafe, at the restaurant. Okay. At the activities, I don't know. All right. So yeah, so just think about that. All right. Cool. All right. So yeah, so 27, 28, 29, and 30 there. All right. So again, very similar to the other two that we talked about. Okay. So yeah, guys, when I say try to guess the answer, that it's not guessing for the sake of guessing. When I say guessing is think about what the answer could be. And when you think about that, you are likely to listen to the right stuff, even if what you think is completely different. Just by thinking about that, you are likely to get the answer right. Okay. So this strategy has worked for like a lot of people and just recently helped a student go from a 5 to a 7 in like a week. All right. So yeah, so this is a really, really powerful strategy. Okay, cool. Okay, so how you feeling now? How you feeling, guys? Good? Yeah, you feeling good? I think I talked too much and there were no questions here. No questions. Yeah, Tia feeling good. Cool. So Anna's feeling good. Maria's feeling good. Cool. John. Yeah, John too. Cool. Yeah. So you're all feeling good. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah. All right. So yeah. So do you guys have any questions now? No. No questions, Aline? No. No questions, Aline? No. JP, no questions? No. All good. Yeah. So Muhammad has a question. So Muhammad is saying, what about spelling? Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so this one, so today basically I helped you with how to listen to the or how to get the answer right, but yeah, but just getting the answer sometimes is not enough. We have to get the spelling right. So I always tell my students, if you got the answer right and your spelling was wrong, your listening is very good, but your spelling is very bad. So my advice is just practice, guys. Yeah. So if you get a word wrong, just because of the spelling, my suggestion is maybe get that word and try to practice it maybe in a sentence. And let me say, oh, write the word 10 times. Yeah, maybe it's not that helpful if you just write it 10 times, but maybe just try and make a sentence with it. Okay. Another thing, if you're making a lot of mistakes with the spelling too, one thing you can do is maybe before you do a new listening, go back to your old listening, the last listening test you did, and look at it and check if you made any spelling mistakes and which words did you get wrong. And oh, I got this word wrong. And then just to make sure maybe you don't make the same mistakes again. Okay, so that's really helpful. Or maybe if you're practicing writing, go to your writing, okay, and you probably have someone to check your writing for you, okay, and maybe the person checking your writing said, oh, spelling mistakes. Check those words too before you do the listening, because I think that different parts of the exam like can help each other a little bit that way. Yeah, so that's my advice for spelling. All right, cool. Any other questions? No? No questions? It was very clear what I said. Thank you. It was very clear. That's good. Cool. All right. Okay. Yeah. So we've been together for 40 minutes now. Okay. Yeah. So So yeah, so maybe I'm gonna go then if you don't have any more questions. But hopefully I'll be back next week. Okay. All right. So I'd like to say thank you. All right. So I'd like to say thank you to you. Okay. If you have any extra questions, just send me an email on fabi@fabieNglish.com. Okay. And also, you can find this lesson on YouTube. Okay. You can also have a look at Instagram. I have Fabi English on Instagram, Fabi English on Facebook. Okay. And also, I have a website, fabieNglish.com, where you can find, there is an ebook there. Okay. There's an ebook talking about the myths. So, whatever people tell about the IELTS, that isn't really true. And also, there is a mini course there, and it's an IELTS writing texture mini course. Okay. And it's all free. Okay, so if you can, head there and have a look at it. Okay, so if you have any questions, just let me know. Send me an email. All right, cool. Okay, see you next time. Bye.